A Place in the Sun.
For God's sake, woman, tie the bloody screwdriver in!
As Anne Crawford looked up, shielding her eyes from the sun, she could only make out her husband's backside around the edges of the bosun's chair and the peak of his skipper's cap. "Into what?" she shouted.
The line!
He bellowed back. "The line?"
In front of you, there! Christ alive!
The line hung in the shadow her husband and his chair cast on the deck. As Anne took hold of it, she thought of Rachel and the Blue Mosque. "It's just a boy's adventure for him, as usual," her daughter had sighed. "Why are you even going, Mum? And with your hip? Why don't you come to Istanbul with us?" Jerry often spent weekends sailing near home, but he liked
at least one adventure a year on the high seas.
She'd hoped there might be other holidays now that he worked less. But when she'd mentioned this to him, minus any reference to Rachel, of course, it had only triggered a tirade.
No sense of adventure, no spirit. Bloody typical of you.
Before he screeched off in his Porsche to the sailing club. As she watched him pull the screwdriver back up the mast, Anne leaned against the port side of the Bonus. How many times had she heard him at the club?
Ha! Why the bonus? Because it was paid for by one. A bloody big one.
She rubbed her hip, made an effort to stand up straight, and looked out over the endless miles of the Atlantic. Jerry had swum in the sea on their first date 52 years ago. He'd only passed his driving test the day before, and she remembered the journey down to Brighton, with him telling her stories and playing the fool, asking what she thought about all manner of things that were never discussed on trips with her parents. As soon as they parked, he was off, running down the beach, scrambling into his trunks behind a towel. He leaped into the sea, calling her as she looked for somewhere to change.
Come on, nanny girl. What's the matter with you?
She couldn't tell him she'd never been in the sea before, that her parents weren't the sort to go to the seaside. Swimming had only ever meant paint-box blue chlorinated water at the local pool. By the time she was standing up to her waist in the water, shivering, he had reached the bright orange buoy. He turned round and waved at her, smiling wildly. She'd waved back, smiling too, despite the cold. She pushed out a little towards him, straining her neck to keep her face out of the water, before turning back into the safety of the shallows. Then he was with her, lifting her up into the air, wrapping his arms around her back and legs. She felt the strength in his arms, and she didn't feel cold anymore. She felt light and alive.